Good day students, in this video lecture we are going to see the frequent item set generation in FP growth algorithm. Earlier we have seen the frequent item set generation in a priori algorithm. So here we are going to see how it can be done in the FP growth algorithm. In the previous video lecture in detail we have seen what do you mean by an FP tree, how to represent a FP tree and how to construct a FP tree. So here we will see how to generate the frequent item sets. So given an example tree over here which is already generated, which is having the 10 transaction and 5 items, the final FP tree which we have got is this one. Taking this an example, if we want to generate the frequent item sets for this, then how we can do that? So what we will do means, initially we will see generally what strategy or approach is being used. Then we will see in detail how to process these paths in the FP tree to obtain the frequent item sets. So given an example like earlier, the algorithm looks for frequent item sets ending in E first, followed by D, C, B and finally A. This is called as a bottom-up strategy for finding frequent item sets ending with the particular item, which is equivalent to the suffix based approach described earlier. So you have seen earlier the prefix based approach and the suffix based approach. If we go or if we move bottom up, then we call it as a suffix based approach. Since every transaction is mapped onto a path in FP tree, we can derive the frequent item sets ending with a particular item, say E, by examining only the paths containing the node E. Suppose if I want to get the paths which is having only E, it is enough if I explore the paths from the bottom which is having the suffix E or having this node E, then move up. So that is the meaning of this. These paths can be accessed rapidly using the pointers associated with the node E. You might remember that each node had the support count as well as the pointers pointing to the similar nodes. Cross reference we had. The use of that is rapidly we can access the same node which is present in the different paths. So the extracted paths are shown over here. That is the path containing the node E, you can see over here. This is derived from this particular tree. So you can see here A, null A, C, D, E and this one. So that is being depicted over here, paths containing node E. As of now, you don't worry how exactly to process this each path. We will see in detail with the illustration how to do that in the future slides. But this is how you get the paths containing node E. In a similar way, you can get the paths containing node D. How do you do that? Again, go back from this, start from the root node, get all the paths which is having the end with the node D, and you write it like this. So that gives the path containing node D. Similarly, you do for C, B and A. So this shows how you can decompose the FP tree into multiple subproblems, where each subproblem involves finding frequent item sets ending in E, D, C, B and A. The whole idea over here is we want the frequent item sets. So what we do means we start with one ending, like from E we start, from D we start, C, B, A, like that, so that we can get the frequent item sets. So this is the table of frequent item sets generated for the respective suffixes over here. If you have a simple look into this table, you will not understand why you have got E, D, comma E, A, D, A, comma D, comma E, C, comma E, A, comma E, because if you simply look into this and try to obtain this, you will not get this. You can see over here A, C, D, E. A, C, D is not there. Actually, it is not frequent. To understand this, we have to see how to process the path exactly, which we are going to do in the future course. So just understand that this is the way of exploring or extracting the frequent item sets. You have construct the FP tree. From that FP tree, what do you do means you get the suffixes or the subproblems of the subtrees with the particular suffixes. Then from that you process the paths. So this is the strategy we have to use. Next, let us go to the processing paths. Main focus or main concentration should be given to this. That is the processing path using FP tree algorithm to obtain frequent item sets. How we are going to do that? So FP growth finds all the frequent item sets ending with the particular suffix, whatever suffix it may be, E, D, C, B, A, employing a divide and conquer strategy to split the problem into the smaller subproblems. Suppose if we are interested in finding all the frequent item sets ending in E, to do this we must first check whether the item set E itself is frequent. So if item E itself is frequent, then what we can do means we can consider the subproblem of finding frequent item sets ending in DE followed by CE, BE, AE. Like that we can move on. So please remember here we are taking a specific example of finding a frequent item sets ending in E. Similar idea can be used for finding the frequent item sets ending in D, C, B and A. So in turn, each of these subproblems are further decomposed into smaller subproblems. By merging the solutions obtained from the subproblems, all the frequent item sets ending in E can be found. That is the typical divide and conquer strategy. You have a problem, you decompose into smaller subproblems, then merge the solution for all these smaller subproblems and get the solution for a main problem. So divide and conquer approach is the key strategy employed by the FP growth algorithm. Now we will see a specific example how to do this. That is, let us consider the task of finding frequent item sets ending with the E. Actually the process is being depicted over here. We will go one by one so that we can understand it very neatly. First step is to gather all the paths containing node E. How do you do? You get the FP tree. From this you get the node containing all the paths containing the node E. That is being put over here. So that is the first step, to gather all the paths containing node E. These initial paths are called as the prefix path and it is being shown over here, prefix path ending in E. Once you have done that, from these prefix path the support count for E is obtained by adding the support counts associated with the node E. What is the support count for node E? You just add up these things, 1 plus 1 plus 1. So support count for node E is 3 over here. In our example we are assuming the minimum support count is 2 or the threshold is 2. Since the threshold is 2 and my support count for node E is 3, definitely the E is a frequent item set. So it passes this condition, and next we will move to the third step. Since or because E is frequent, algorithm has to now solve what? Subproblems of finding frequent item sets ending in DE, CE, BE and AE. But before solving these problems, it must convert the prefix path to a conditional FP tree. This we have to take into care. Before we are solving these subproblems, we must convert those prefix paths into a conditional FP tree, which is structurally similar to a FP tree. So we will see how to convert prefix path into a conditional FP tree. First, support counts along the prefix paths must be updated because some of the counts include transactions that do not contain item E. This is very much important. Support counts along the prefix paths must be updated in such a way that it does not include the transactions, or it is not going to take into consideration the transaction which is not having that. Suppose if you take BCE over here, E is there only for one time. What does that mean? Then B1 C1 extra is present over here, which must be removed. So that is what we are going to say. Rightmost path null B2 C2 E1 includes a transaction BC that does not contain the item E. So the count along that prefix path must be adjusted to 1 to reflect the actual number of transactions containing B, C, E. That is the first thing we have to do while converting into a conditional FP tree. Next, the prefix paths are truncated by removing the nodes for E. Once you have obtained the actual transaction containing E, no more we require the nodes having E. So we can remove the nodes because the support counts along the prefix paths have been updated to reflect only the transaction containing E, and subproblems of finding frequent item sets ending in DE, CE, BE and AE no longer need the information about node E. That is what we are going to do here. See here, all the E's are removed for the conditional FP tree, and C is converted to 1. We will see why B has been removed. So third one is, or C point is, after updating the support counts along the prefix path, some of the items may no longer be frequent. Suppose if you see over here, once we adjust these counts B1 C1, then you can see that B1 it is less than the minimum support count of 2, but C1 over here, C1 over here, so it matches the minimum support count. So C is kept, but B is removed in the conditional FP tree for E. One second, let me go into that particular slide. So after updating, B appears only once and a support count equal to 1, which means there is only one transaction that contains both B and E. Item B can be safely ignored from the subsequent analysis, and finally we get the conditional FP tree for E. We have got this. Now what is the remaining problem? Now the subproblems for DE, CE, BE and AE has to be solved. So how do we do that? Again, FP growth uses the conditional FP tree for E to solve the subproblems, which involves DE, CE and AE. To find the frequent item sets ending in DE, the prefix paths for D are gathered. Please correct one thing. I have said that frequent item sets ending in BE. Sorry, it is not there since we have removed B. B no more comes into picture. So it is DE, CE and AE. Please correct yourself because I have made a mistake earlier. So to find the frequent item sets ending in DE, now again the prefix paths for D are gathered from the conditional FP tree for E as shown over here. So what do you do means, from this you obtain conditional FP. First what we have to do? First we have to update the support count. We have to do, while updating the support count, what we have to take into consideration, the transaction containing only up to D. So what we can do means A, C, D and AD. We can remove C because it is not having any node containing the D. Once we have updated the support counts over here, next prefix paths containing the D can be removed. So you remove those things. Then you remove the node which does not satisfy the minimum support count, that is C, you remove. So you are going to get the conditional FP tree for D as null A2. Similarly, you do it for the CE. CE, it is very simple. First you update the support count. No updation of support count happens because it contains all the transaction A2, C1 and C1. This part will be there. Next we have to remove the what is that, nodes containing C. Then you obtain the path with the minimum support count A2, which satisfies the minimum support count, it is there. Similarly, obtain the prefix path ending in AE. If you see this, then we can get this particular table or particular row in the table, which is frequent item sets. That is, we are going to have the DE, A comma D comma E, CE, A comma E. So that is what used for the processing of the paths in the frequent item set generation. So this example actually illustrates the divide and conquer approach used in FP growth algorithm. Let us now see the advantages of FP growth algorithm. What it does means, at each recursive step, a conditional FP tree is constructed by updating the frequency counts along the prefix paths and removing all the infrequent items. This is the advantage we are going to get. Because the subproblems are disjoint, FP growth algorithm will not generate any duplicate item sets. Again, the generation of duplicate item sets is avoided. Since subproblems are disjoint, you are not having any fear of getting the duplicate item sets. FP growth is an interesting algorithm because it illustrates how a compact representation of transaction data set helps to efficiently generate frequent item sets. In addition, for certain data sets, FP growth algorithm outperforms the standard a priori by several orders of magnitude. So these are the few advantages of FP growth algorithm, that is updating the frequency counts, removing the infrequent items. Subproblems are disjoint, because of which it will not generate any duplicate item sets, compact representation. All these things are the advantages of FP growth algorithm. As far as processing the paths in FP growth algorithm is concerned, you should always remember that first you should see a particular item set is frequent, then draw the prefix paths for all the get the prefix path for the particular node. Then what do you do means, you convert that particular prefix path into a conditional FP tree. While converting into a conditional FP tree, please see to that first you update the support count for the particular node, seeing the transaction containing a particular node. It may be A, B, C, D, E, like that. Then what do you do means, you truncate the prefix paths with the particular node, or by removing the particular node where the suffix is being calculated, you remove the nodes from those prefix paths. Then you update the prefix paths in such a way that infrequent nodes are removed from that. Those three steps should be followed while you convert to a conditional FP tree. Then you go on solving the subproblems. So this brings us to the end of frequent items generation in FP growth algorithm. In case if you have any doubts, especially the SMB item students, you can mail me or you can drop the comment, and I will help you in understanding if you have not understood any particular step. Thank you.